Fallout 76's premium subscription has already launched full of, well, bugs, problems, and disappeared loot. Blizzard have turned their backs on their loyal Hearthstone content creators and have a new executive vice president at the company. Then The Last of Us 2 has been delayed, and, well, you might have to wait a little while longer for your Google Stadia pre-orders to arrive. How sad. All that and more on today's episode of The Roundup. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Roundup. It's been a busy week as always, though. Be sure to like, sub, and ring that bell to let the YouTube algorithm gods know you like our content. And with that, let's get into Fallout first. So earlier on this week, we covered Bethesda's reveal of Fallout First, the new premium subscription service for Fallout 76 that took a lot of people by surprise. As we detailed in our video the other day, the perks of the membership are, well, they're not that great. They're private worlds, unlimited crafting storage, a new fast travel survival tent, and then some skins and emotes, and then you also get 1,650 atoms per month, and the incredible benefit of exclusive discounts in the Atomic Store. The reaction from the community ranged from cynicism to, exhausted resignation, while I think most people just had a bit of a laugh at it. A lot of the Fallout First perks are features that have just been requested by the community. It's felt like people paid $60 to beta test the game, and now they have a subscription service for some of those features. But the belief was that features like private worlds, they should have been part of the game, at launch. That's not the case, though. Of course, gathering community feedback and locking additions then behind a paywall based on that feedback, that is the most Fallout 76 Bethesda decision ever. Now, that said, Bethesda could have at least helped themselves here by, ensuring that the experience ran smoothly and that it was actually good. Well, first of all, private servers aren't really that private. Players have reported finding dead NPCs and looted areas in their newly created private worlds, and that suggests that they're just recycled instances from the main game, as opposed to a new environment spawned for you. Now, if it was just that, they'd still be private worlds, but players are also finding that they're not actually able to prevent randoms from joining their worlds, which does kind of call the whole private thing into question. There's seemingly no sort of option to hide your private world from the list of servers, so yeah, anyone who sees it can just join it. Then the scrap box is also causing some serious issues, with many reporting that the box is eating their resources. Some have said that their scrap is vanishing between logins, while others are saying that scrap is actually lost when changing from a private to public server. And of course, players are understandably upset at having essentially paid for the privilege of losing all of their resources, and as such, the community has advised people just to stay well clear of the scrap boxes till the issue is fixed. Bethesda have since responded to both of these claims, with there being a fix on the way pretty soon for the private server issue, and then them looking into the scrap issue, which they initially thought was a UI bug, but actually has turned out to be a real thing. Then, even the timing of this service's rollout is misguided, coming just a few days after Bethesda announced the delay of the Wastelanders update. Now, the main reason given for that delay was further polish being required. Yeah, further polish was clearly required for the Fallout First system, and still, the Fallout First announcement came so soon afterwards that it does raise troubling questions as to exactly where Bethesda's resource priorities lie, considering that large portions of the community were already affronted at Bethesda's audacity introducing a subscription service to Fallout 76 in the first place. The state of its initial rollout has done the company no favors, but then again, when has anything done them favors in the last year, given the decision-making quality they've had? Not only is this expensive service not functioning correctly, but it's also actively harming the dedicated players who have actually paid for it. Bethesda would do well to just protect their core fan base whose patience, isn't unlimited, rather than half-assing yet another monetization scheme. At this point, it's worth mentioning that Xbox Game Pass costs less than Fallout First, and you can just pick up Fallout New Vegas and The Outer Worlds on it, making 76 a pretty silly-looking proposition indeed. Then next up, we are less than a month away from the release of Google Stadia, and this week has seen, a mixed bag of news relating to the upcoming streaming platform. So, Stadia launches on the 19th of November, and pre-orders have been open for a good while now for those who are eager to play on the day. Hopefully, those eager people are patient, though, because Google has announced this week that pre-orders are not necessarily guaranteed to arrive in time for the release day. which, I mean, is a little bit crazy, especially considering a bit of information we're about to drop. Now, this is because Google are sending out both the Founders and Premier editions on a first-come, first-served basis. So, yeah, I mean, they're just sending them out in the order that they were purchased, but considering they were limited quantity pre-orders, it's a bit wild that they're not all going to be guaranteed for, you know, like day one. I mean, allowing like a shipping delay or something like that. Now, The Verge reached out to Google for comment here, and they were directed to the wording in a blog post from last week. And sure enough, the blog post does say, technically, that Stadia Founders Editions will only start arriving on launch day, and that you may only start or get to start playing immediately if you were one of the first gamers who pre-ordered. Yeah, this is a bit of a kick in the teeth from Google. While they are expecting both the Founders and Premier editions to be delivered within the first 2 weeks of launch, not receiving a pre-order on like day one is pretty poor practice. I mean, what on earth was the point of a Founders edition if not everyone who ordered it is going to be able to play in and around launch day? Then Google Stadia, what's a bit wild here is it's actually not going to be playable without official hardware until sometime in 2020. So it really was on Google to ensure the timely arrival of these pre-orders. Of course, what overall matters is the games, and well, in an interview with GameIndustry.biz, Jade Raymond, their VP of Stadia Games and Entertainment, confirmed that for a big bet and huge new IP that's going to leverage the cloud fully, it may be several years in regards to like first-party titles. So basically, if the unique strengths of Stadia are years off, I mean, why even care about the pre-order arriving on time? It just seems at this stage like it's going to be pretty darn hard to care about Stadia for some time indeed. And honestly, it seems like they just rushed it out to get their foot in the market, seeing that, say, xCloud and other similar services were going to be on the rise in this year. Then next up, an interesting one from Blizzard, who seem to have dealt a decently severe blow to their Hearthstone content creators. So this week, Hearthstone pro player and streamer Firebat revealed that Blizzard have entirely removed the affiliate program for Hearthstone creators. Firebat spoke almost warily, basically, about the incident, outlining that Blizzard does not like supporting their content creators because it costs them money. He then added that Blizzard would far rather create new programs and systems to attract popular creators from other games rather than to support their long-standing and loyal creators. Firebat concluded by saying, "That's how Blizzard's reward system works. You gotta not play Blizzard games, but be a big streamer." And I mean, looking to other streamers to advertise your game with, that's not a new tactic by any means here. I think it's just a bad look when a company is neglecting their existing player base. Now, this decision may make like business sense for Blizzard though, as I mean, there was no additional incentive for clicking affiliate links besides like supporting a particular creator, and that was already just the existing Hearthstone audience. It wasn't reaching new people, so the system may not have generated enough purchases to justify the cost, but still, it's not a particularly good look for Blizzard in the current environment. Then let's round it off with some quickfire. So, The Last of Us 2 has been delayed. Neil Druckmann, the game's director, hopped on the PlayStation blog to announce that it will release on the 29th of May 2020. He outlines that the delay is the result of unforeseen amounts of polish being required to bring the game in line with Naughty Dog quality. He then added that the team were faced with a choice of whether to compromise the game to make release day or to just go and ask for more time. Now, this news may come as a bit of a shock because it was only a month ago that we got our first substantial look at the game through its story trailer. Then Gaming Media actually got a 2-hour hands-on with the game, and of course we found out that it would have a 21st of February 2020 release date. So seeing a delay come so soon after that big reveal, I mean, it is pretty darn odd, isn't it? Still, though, if this delay is going to allow Naughty Dog more time to create something they're happy with, then I think that's a good thing. Hopefully, this means less crunch, though, given some of the rumblings, I wouldn't count on it being less crunch. It may just be more time to do more crunch. Now, as a sort of aside here, Ghosts of Tsushima is also rumored to be delayed, according to Jason Schreier, but he did note that he doesn't expect it to turn into a PS5 game or anything. Now, combine this with the Ubisoft delays that we covered in our earlier report, which is up on the channel now. We just posted a few hours before this one, and yes, certainly 2020 is set to be a busy year. Then next up, there's an interesting one where a couple of weeks ago, Mike Ybarra announced that he was leaving Microsoft after a career there spanning 20 years, and that he was excited to try to make gaming better for everyone in his then unknown role. Well, this week, the former corporate vice president of Xbox Live, Xbox Game Pass, and Mixer revealed that he would be joining Blizzard as their new executive vice president president and general manager. Ybarra said that he's a huge fan of Blizzard, claiming to have played every single Blizzard game that there ever was in his college days. He also revealed in a live stream that he's always been jealous of the people who work at Blizzard, which, I mean, is perhaps odd given some of the recent things that we've heard, and honestly, from the rumblings I've heard from being a Warcraft YouTuber for so long, is just a bit of an odd statement indeed. Seems like a bit of a cult. Anyway, the timing on this move is a little bit unfortunate. To put it lightly, it seems like a rather tumultuous time for Blizz, and however excited Ybarra may be for his new role there, I mean, he's got to be aware that he's walking into chaos. I mean, the backlash from the Blitzchung incident is ongoing, of course. BlizzCon is right around the corner. It'll be a spicy one probably, so he's certainly going to have to hit the ground running. Now, the EVP and general manager role, that certainly is a major one, and this could be seen as J. Allen Brack building out the leadership team that will define much of his tenure at Blizzard, so it certainly is an interesting situation. Now, there is one thing I would like to point out here. There was a story going around some of the punditry, essentially about Blizzard, like, cutting down on their Q&As and pre-screening questions. Now, there's a little bit of false news here. I can tell you for a fact that Blizzard pre-screened their BlizzCon Q&As, like, for the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. So the way that they would do it is there would be a host for the Q&A. I'm speaking specifically about the Warcraft one. So the Warcraft Q&As would have a host, right? Now, this host would ask some, pre-screened questions that come from either online or a submissions box. So yeah, they would naturally be pre-screened. Now, the people who go up and actually ask their questions in a BlizzCon Q&A, if you actually look at the Q&As, I mean, they're reading from a card, and that card is their actual submission. Now, this is what hit Red Shirt Guy, I think it was 2 years ago. Now, when I say Red Shirt Guy, I'm talking about the original World of Warcraft Red Shirt Guy, Ian Bates, who walked up there one year and absolutely schooled Chris Metzen on his own lore. It was quite a great moment at BlizzCon. Now, he said that, he did not get into the BlizzCon Q&A with his lore question because the developers just denied his question. So it is just important to note that that actually has been an ongoing policy, and the policy that they've enacted for this year's Q&A, it is the same as the last one. However, it does not prevent somebody from pre-screening their question successfully, then going up, looking at their card, and saying something completely different, say a protest of some sort. So, that bit of news aside, it still is going to be a bit of a rough period for Blizzard at BlizzCon in those Q&As, I would imagine. I'm sure the devs will be a little bit nervous. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to watch our big Ubisoft report from earlier on today, and with that, I will see you next time.